it's Melanie here. How you doing? I am going to give you a brief lesson on how to use your flint and steel. So you'll have got your box, and I've packed it with all sorts of goodies. I've given you first a Ziploc bag full of dry tinder. So that's what's going to make your bird's nest. Okay, that's the thing that is going to catch fire. You've also got your steel striker on a lanyard. So I put one in blackened and one in just silver, so that you guys can work out what it is that which one it is that you want. So I keep this on my neck at all times. It's really easy, doesn't get in the way, it's not heavy, and it's a very, very useful thing. You will also have a piece of flintstone in your box, and then with that I've also included char cloth, a couple of like 4 or 5 pieces of char cloth for you, and also magnesium shavings. Now I don't know if you know what char cloth or magnesium shavings are, but char cloth is the thing that is going to catch the sparks that you make with your flint and steel, and magnesium shavings are a very fun tool that a lot of the wilderness survival and bushcraft people you see use. It's like a little secret ingredient that people put into their bird's nest, their tinder bundles, because this stuff is very flammable. So do not use if you're making a tinder bundle that you're going to blow up in the air into flame. Only use on the ground, because it can flare up really quickly, and that would result in burnt eyebrows, eyelashes, and maybe a bit of hair or a hat if you had it on. Okay, so this is only for the ground, the magnesium, but it's really, really handy. So basically, in order to create spark, what you're going to do is you're going to hold your DOG TAG steel striker, and you're going to use the long edge here, the long flat edge, and you're going to hit it against a flat line of your English flint. I've given you English flint here. Now the key is to have your thumb parallel to the line that you're about to hit, and then curl your fingers up underneath it. And the reason I'm telling you that is because if you have overhanging fingers or your thumb gets in the way, when you strike it with your striker, that can be really painful. So make sure that your thumb is parallel with the line of flintstone, the edge of flintstone that you're about to hit. So hold your flint in your non-dominant hand. I am right-handed, so I'm holding my flint in my left hand. Take your steel DOG TAG striker into your dominant hand, your right hand. And all you're going to do is you're going to practice first of all. We're not going to make fire, we just practice. So you basically just hit it in a slow arcing motion. If you find that the DOG TAG is getting in the way, what you can also do is wrap it around your hands like I just have, and continue to do the same thing. And what you'll see is that there are sparks beginning to happen. Okay, so once you feel comfortable doing that, and there's no rush on this stuff, you know, fire is fire, it will happen. And quite often when you're using traditional skills, it takes a little while to practice to get the sparks, but this one is a fun one. So once you feel comfortable that you can achieve sparks, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to try and strike those sparks onto your char cloth. Okay, so your char cloth is in a separate package right here. I've actually written char cloth. So take one out and take one of the pieces out, and what I've done is I've torn them into strips. See that line there? I want you to line it up parallel with the piece of flint that you're going to hit. Line it up parallel, but don't overlap the edge of flint that you're going to hit. Okay, and the reason I say that is because char cloth is pretty fragile, so if you hit it with the steel, then it can shred and break into pieces. When you're not used to doing it, that can happen, so don't worry. I've enclosed like 4 or 5 pieces of char cloth for you, so you'll definitely have stuff to practice with. Okay, and in order to create the ember that you need to make a flame, what you're going to do is exactly the same thing. You're going to hold it in your non-dominant hand. You're going to put your char cloth on top of your flint. Make sure your flint and your thumb are parallel with each other, not overhanging. Take your dominant hand with the steel striker and strike it down. Now there's a reason why I'm not doing that right now, and that's because I haven't taught you about bird's nests yet. If you're going to make an ember, you're going to need something to put it into. So, freeze, don't move. I'm putting it down. We're going to talk about bird's nests. I am assuming that you do know about bird's nests, but just in case you don't, knowledge is power, and you might have a different way of doing it. Absolutely no problem. There is no exact science to this stuff. Just do what works for you. But for me, basically a bird's nest, which traditionally used to be an actual bird's nest, is now these days made up of dried grasses. And that's why I've included a bunch of dried grasses in your box here. And what I'm doing is I'm basically creating kind of like a circle, and I'm making a divot in the middle like this. And you'll see in your booklet that exactly how that is. But basically it's a circle with a divot. Now into that divot, we're going to add some good stuff. And I've also included that in your box. I've included some waxed cotton. Now this has bear grease on it, and it has a couple of other things that I like to add. But if you're going to make this at home, all you need to do is to get 100% cotton wool and rub some Vaseline on it, okay? Just as good. And what you're seeing me doing here is gently prying it apart. And the reason I'm doing that is because it opens up more surface areas for catching fire, okay? If I had it in a tight ball, there's not so much. But now I've got lots more cotton, lots more grease, and I'm going to place that into the center of my bird's nest divot so you can see it. Just like that, okay? So basically what happens from here is I'm going to pick up my steel striker, I'm going to pick up my flint, I'm going to strike my flint with my steel striker until I get a white circular ember appear onto the char cloth. And you'll see it just slowly starts to grow and turn orange. Don't rush, it takes a while, you've got plenty of time, okay? Then I'm going to put my steel striker down or around my neck. I'm going to put my flint where I know where it is in a safe place. I'm going to take my char cloth and I'm going to put it into the middle of my divot on top of the cotton wool with the grease. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly enclose it like this, just slowly. I'm not going to suffocate it, but I'm going to enclose it so there's all sorts of flammable stuff in there, okay? If I was going to blow it up here like this, I wouldn't use magnesium. Remember we talked about that? But if I was going to continue to make my fire on the ground in a fire pit, in a safe area where there was no other things that I thought might catch fire, I could at that point add some magnesium sprinkles on it before I set it alight, and that would definitely get the job done, okay? So that's what we're going to do. Bird's nest ready, grease is in the divot. You could also add birch bark shavings. I've put some in there for you. Basically anything that works that is flammable, and you can play around with that and find out what works for you. And like I say, maybe you already have knowledge of this stuff, so you know, play around if you don't, and if you do, use what works for you. I am no judge of anyone's skills. I just want to help you have fun in the woods because it's awesome. Okay. Alright, so what I have here now, if you can see, is the orange circle of the spark catching, okay? I've got plenty of time, putting everything down. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to place it into my bird's nest. So what I'm going to do here is place it into my bird's nest. Some people say do this, some people don't. It's up to you. What works? There you go. All right. Doesn't always work the first time. Don't worry if it doesn't. Get another piece of char cloth and try again. Practice makes perfect. And there's all sorts of factors like wind, dampness, your flint, and even just like the humidity in the air. So don't worry if you don't get it the first time. Just keep on practicing and you will do awesome. Have fun.